be doing the first episode of Ramble Shrapnel based off of episode 1 from our main podcast, which was about superpowers. Now, we listened to what you guys had to say, and from all of your responses, we have chosen our favorite from one core wins from the Discord, and that one is about shapeshifting. And so Mackie and I are just going to be talking about that and giving our input about what we think of shapeshifting, its flaws, its strengths, all of that kind of stuff. But before we do that, please check out all of our social medias where you can find us on Discord, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, everywhere where you can listen to a podcast. And look at our social accounts as well. That's Twitter, it's Instagram, even Facebook. Yeah, check us out. Leave a comment about this episode. And if you just happen to stumble upon this through the dark of the internet, not the dark web, that's a bit dicey, but the dark of the normal internet, and you found this episode having no clue where it comes from, why we're talking about superpowers, please check out the main episode 1 on our main channel, and comment about that yourself. We like to hear from you. Now, we are joined here by Mackie,
Heyo.
and we are going to be talking about shapeshifting. Mackie, what do you think of shapeshifting as a superpower? Or I
I
guess
like it.
from the we have to take it from the perspective of it's our favorite, because I
Yeah.
think that's only doing it justice because we were choosing our favorite ones for the main episode.
I think like compared to my power that I chose in my episode, in the episode, the main episode, which I won't say because you guys must go listen to it. It's definitely a good runner up. I like the fact that shapeshifting gives you now. Obviously, there's different forms of shapeshifting, and I like that fact is that shapeshifting could be like you changing into an animal, or it could be you changing into a different person. And I take shape shifting as turning into a different person and having the ability to change your appearance whenever, or not whenever, but change your appearance to something maybe you're not looking quite happy with the way your jawline is and that kind of thing. You just like quickly shapeshift and there you go, you've got the perfect jawline. But there are some realistic, real world problems to it that we'll probably touch on a bit later. But I like it. Pros definitely would be for me is that be anyone who you want to be, basically live the way you would like to live, and basically it gives you a lot of freedom of movement that I like.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you can infiltrate any kind of compound or facility. You can trick people into thinking that you're something or someone that you're not. The possibilities for espionage or just getting away with stuff are endless. I personally don't know how you could be much of a superhero with that. I mean, you can impersonate other people, so I guess you can make yourself appear to be the president of America or something and take control of things. But I think that for that to convincingly occur, you would have to be a lot like, what's it, Raven from X
Mm,
Men, where on top of your shapeshifting, you have these other like combat abilities and stuff where you can actually utilize that to the full extent. But they, I think the biggest thing about shapeshifting is that it does need further clarification on exactly what the extent of it is. Like, can you shapeshift parts of your body only?
yeah.
And can I make the head of a bat because I want echolocation, but
Mm,
then
mm.
let's say for some reason I feel that the wings aren't as good as a bird's wings. Can I have the shape of a bat head, but then have bird wings on my back? Like questions like that. Can you change different limbs and body parts to have different characteristics from different animals? So you do need to clarify exactly what kind of shapeshifting you have.
Uh, I get drawn towards Beast Boy. I'm not sure if you know Beast Boy from DC. He basically obtained the power for his powers in one. I'm not sure if it's the official way, but the powers from Martian Manhunter, who's a main DC character. Very similar powers to Superman, except he has a big weakness to fire, and he basically could transform to anything, anyone, anything, and any creature. And he has the ultimate shapeshifting ability. And what made him really special to me, and like in terms of his overpowered shapeshifting, is that he would gain the strength of that creature he would turn into, but he would still have a bit of the appearance of his alien. But when he could even shapeshift into humans, any type of human, and it made him quite a formidable superhero. If Martian Manhunter, I'm not sure if you heard of him before.
Oh yeah, I'm not into the DC universe that much, except for the big figures like Batman and Superman and a few others um, that I probably don't even know are from DC. I probably just think that they're super cool heroes, and um, and I don't even know they're from DC. But not that much. Definitely not like Justice League stuff.
Oh, I know him so well, and yeah, from my interpretation of what the person who gave us the suggestion of topic, shapeshifting would incorporate all of those facts. But I like the fact of how you mentioned about you could have like the head of a bat and the wings of an eagle, and I don't think that's out of the realms of possibilities for shapeshifting, because for me, as long as shapeshifting is, as long as you have the picture and the motion in your mind in terms of how it would look like in that form. I'm pretty sure you could shapeshift into that form. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah, I agree with that. But even granted, let's say it's the most overpowered kind of shapeshifting that there is, where you can change different limbs and body parts to have certain characteristics or uh, be like different kinds of animals. And let's say I like the armor of an armadillo, so I make myself like this awesome armored back and stuff like that. I feel there is still one massive flaw about shapeshifting that you can't really get away from. Have you ever watched the movie An American Werewolf in London, Matthew?
No, I haven't.
Everybody, if you haven't watched that movie, I admit I haven't either, but I do know, yeah, hypocrite.
Yeah, for
Hip-
yeast.
but it has the most intense, realistic transformation of this man into a werewolf ever. And he's just going through the most agonizing pain
Oh,
as some of his bones scrunch down and other ones elongate, and he like wolf fur underneath. And like I think he also, when he turns back into a human, he like goes through the same process where he peels off wolf fur and skin and stuff before the new human one is underneath. It's just every single transformation that you do must be so agonizing. What do you think?
you nailed it on the head again with that. I had the same flaw, is that the pain of transformation, unlike Raven from X-Men, must be excruciating. Because the fact that, like, even like if I were to change into you, Jotun, my jaw would have to relocate, my bones would have to change density. It would be so, like, your body would be screaming in agonizing pain because your whole body structure is changing completely. But there's another fact that I like, how you mentioned from that one show or one movie. There's a show that I used to watch when I was younger called Heroes, and it's got a nice interpretation of powers in the real world and like
Oh,
consequences.
Heroes was so awesome.
It was such a brilliantly well done.
Didn't
Real,
it end on a cliffhanger?
I can't remember. I kind of stopped watching it when Hero died and came back and died again situation.
Hero Nakamura.
But they touched on the fact where there was this one serial killer who would intentionally cut people's heads open to take their powers out from them. And one of the powers that he took was this person's ability to shapeshift. And one of the consequences of the shapeshifting is if he was shapeshifted into this one person for too long, he forgot how he was before, so his original body. So that's one of the biggest consequences that I see in quite a few shows, like Flash even had it, the live action version series of Flash, where they had a shapeshifter, and when they put him the person away because that's not him or her anymore, they Flash asked him like, why don't you can you even change back to the person you were before? And he says, I forgot when he was a person. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is that you forget your characteristics of what makes you you. You
Yeah.
now have an identity crisis because now you're thinking, wait, did I have this extra tooth back here, or is that just me because I mimicked that person for 2 months and they had that tooth there, or is this my nose? Because you lose yourself in other words. Like if you that person for 2 months, now you change back, you like say, were my hands always this big? They're not smaller. And I feel like that's would make someone so crazy, like they would just be so they lose their self.
Well, that's a very common trope in shapeshifting media. And it kind of makes sense because we're taking for granted that everything about you is changing, including your brain. If we assume that the one thing about you that stays the same, okay, two things: your stream of consciousness and the fact that you can shapeshift, then your brain will change every single time as well. So if I decided to be an eagle because I want to fly, then it makes sense that because of the brain chemistry and the wirings and the couplings of the eagle, you would start to think eagle eventually. Like you'd be flying, enjoying yourself, and then, whoa, there's a little bird down there. Hmm, doesn't that look juicy, scrumptious? And then you just go like killer raptor instinct, and you soar down and swoop it up, and you like get that bloodlust, and you're tearing into that flesh, and it tastes so good. And then 5 minutes later, you're an eagle. You forget that you
Oh, that
can
is
change
so
your
true.
power until something attacks you successfully, and then because we can change individual limbs, then your claw just becomes like 10 times bigger and smack it, whatever. But basically, you would become eagle at that stage, and that is a trope in a lot of shapeshifting things.
All in all, would you take shapeshifting as a power if you had the option?
I think that I would take shapeshifting as an option, but I would be very tentative about how I shapeshift. Like, I'd first experiment. Can I look like other people? Is there any kind of weird thought patterns that are entering my brain when I do so? But also for animals, are there moments where I like lose my train of consciousness and I kind of just live in the moment, and then I kind of snap out of it 5 minutes later and I don't remember what I did just now? How did I get here? Then I'd know, okay, I have like a 20-minute time limit if I want to be an animal. I would test very, very carefully.
No, I don't think I would go for the power. I think the power is too dangerous to the fact, like you mentioned before, losing your consciousness. And I would hate the fact of not knowing who I am.
Oh, and the pain. Don't forget the pain. I forgot about the pain. Yeah. I would have to think about I would have to think about that one very carefully.
Yeah.
Before we finish, there is one other massive flaw, and that's that I think every time you turn into an animal, you wouldn't necessarily know how to even move as that animal. So either you lose your consciousness or you retain your consciousness in the new animal form, but you experience a lot of pain. I think that if I retain my consciousness in the new animal form, that my consciousness wouldn't know how to interpret and command that new body. Because I've never flown with wings before. I don't know what it's like to move those muscles. So I think that either every single time I transform, I would make new neural maps for how to move around, and that would take time to get used to. We're not newborn lambs that just know how to run. Humans take time to learn things effectively. But even if it's that you only need to go through that process one time for the first time you turn into that kind of animal, that's a lot of vulnerability for a supervillain or something to take you out.
Mm.
I decide to turn into a bear, but I don't know how to run on all fours. And then, that's like a week or however long it takes for me to remap my brain that I'm vulnerable. It's just not feasible. Actually, I think I would. Yeah, just because it'd be fun to explore. And I guess I could remap my brain in little 20-minute bits and pieces. Yeah.
I think that door should not be opened.
Yeah. Pandora's box right there.
Oh, big time.
Okay, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed us just talking about shapeshifting, I guess. Please check out our main episode, that, episode 1, that has to do with this episode, and listen to the other episodes from the main playlist, and any other subsequent Ramble Shrapnel episodes. Again, we were joined by Mackie and myself, Jotun. Mackie, just a quick recap. Where can we be found?
Can be found on our Discord. We can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, where you can comment, like, subscribe. You can also give us that 5-star rating on Apple or whatever like button that you may find on whatever platform you're listening or watching to this. And yes, guys, the more you comment, the more you talk to us, the more we involve with you. We want to hear your ideas, your topics, your ideas about future topics, and yeah, we love to hear and like to keep you guys close to us so you can keep us company, because we're lonely. We love you. Maybe not love you. Love is a strong word.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.